Being a journalist in the Marvel Universe is a very dangerous occupation. Trying to investigate and uncover the truth in a world of super people can quickly lead the curious into life-threatening situations that no member of the press could ever hope to be prepared for. In this video, I'm going to take time to spotlight those journalists whose stories would end up costing them their lives on this Lesser Evil special, Killing the Messengers. Terry Kidder was a Daily Bugle reporter that first appeared in The Pulse from 2004. Having been recently hired, Kidder is afraid she will lose her new job as she has fallen behind on her first assignment. When Kidder eventually turns the article in to J. Jonah Jameson, he chews her out for misunderstanding the intent of the article. As she is recovering from Jameson's critiques, Kidder catches a call about a superhero battle happening right then. She races to the scene of the fight and discovers a crowd watching Spider-Man fighting the Vulture many feet overhead. To the rookie reporter's dismay, she sees other media are already breaking the story. That evening, Kidder is drowning her sorrows at dinner with a close friend who works at Oscorp. Kidder's friend would reveal that people are going missing at the company. Smelling a story, Kidder decides to investigate the disappearances and successfully arranges an interview with Norman Osborn himself. After opening with some innocent introductory questions, Kidder brings up the missing employees, and this tips her hand, revealing to Osborn what the reporter's real goal is. Osborn lashes out, knocking Kidder to the floor before effortlessly lifting her off the ground and cruelly strangling the young reporter to death. Becoming the Green Goblin, Osborn carries Kidder into the sky, where he drops her lifeless body into the Central Park Reservoir. The next evening, her body would be identified by investigating officers. The one silver lining of Terry Kidder's tragic death is that it would kick off an official investigation into Norman Osborn, revealing to the public that he was the Green Goblin and leading to his incarceration for his numerous villainous actions. Michael McTeer was an over-the-hill reporter that first appeared in Punisher Year 1, Number 1 from 1994. When readers first meet McTeer, he is passed out on a bench in Central Park, where he is awakened by a series of nearby gunshots. Grumpily investigating what he believed were kids with firecrackers, McTeer stumbles on the scene of the Castle family massacre. Sticking around to give his statement to the detectives on the case, McTeer is present when Frank Castle is discovered to still be alive. When the wounded Frank begins fighting with the emergency workers, McTeer attempts to calm the man but gets roughly knocked aside. McTeer winds up at the same hospital that Castle is sent to, and he realizes the man's story is his chance to restore his career. McTeer schedules a meeting with Robbie Robinson of the Daily Bugle, where he begs the editor for a chance to write the story. After Robertson tells McTeer to come back with more information, the reporter meets with Frank Castle at his home and works to convince the broken man to share his story. In an attempt to connect to Castle, McTeer lies, stating that his wife was also murdered. When Castle seems hesitant to believe McTeer, the reporter disgustingly doubles down on his lie. Castle soon learns the police will not investigate his family's murder because of the killer's ties to a powerful crime family. With no other option, Frank turns to McTeer to get his story out. The reporter takes Frank to the Daily Bugle to meet with J. Jonah Jameson. He leaves Frank for a short time to arrange the meeting. Unfortunately, this is when McTeer's very much alive ex-wife calls and leaves a message for McTeer that Frank reads. When McTeer returns to retrieve Frank, he sees the note and realizes immediately how badly he screwed up. McTeer then races to the Castle family home, afraid of what Frank might do that would cost him his big story. McTeer discovers Castle having just decided against killing himself. When Castle sees McTeer, he angrily slams the man against the wall before throwing the lying reporter to the ground. Having seen the pain Frank feels, McTeer confesses to his lies. Castle doesn't care and counters that McTeer is now going to help him. With McTeer's aid, Castle begins doing his own investigation, interrogating mafia soldiers for the information he needs. Sometime later, Michael McTeer and Frank Castle wrap up a research meeting, and after Castle leaves, the reporter begins to re-examine his life. McTeer even attempts to call his ex-wife to repair things when he hears an unexpected knock at his front door. Still holding the ringing phone in his hand, McTeer cracks open the door and is fatally gunned down where he stands by the notorious mob hitman named Billy Russo. Castle would later return to the reporter's home, where he would find the body of Michael McTeer. When Castle finally catches up to Billy Russo, he would give the hitman a reason for his new nickname, Jigsaw. Gail Rogers was a television reporter that first appeared in Solo Avengers number 9 from 1988. Readers first meet Rogers as she interviewed the Avenger Hawkeye about a new murderous vigilante on the scene, but the interview is cut short when Hawkeye receives an urgent call. Weeks later, Rogers is reporting from the latest in a string of art thefts committed by a new criminal known as the Bullet Biker. Her attention turns to the sudden arrival of Hawkeye, who declares that he will catch the motorcycle-riding thief. Rogers insists that she ride along so the two can finish the interview they had started previously. The pair seek out the wealthy owner of the art galleries, only to find that the owner has already been attacked by the Bullet Biker. When the owner provides a new lead to follow, the pair arrive at the Bullet Biker's location, where they explode their way into the villain's base. As the two masked men begin to take shots at each other, Rogers realizes how much danger she has put herself in. The pair chase the fleeing motorcyclist as he tries to escape, until Bullet Biker throws his motorcycle off of a building, targeting the innocent pedestrians on the street below. As Rogers fights not to throw up, Hawkeye maneuvers to stop the bike and save the people below. Soon after, Hawkeye catches the Bullet Biker, and Rogers is impressed with the hero. Rogers hints that she will contact Hawkeye in order to finish their interview, leaving the hero with the hots for the reporter. Years later, Gail Rogers is tapped by media executives to follow and record the exploits of the Thunderbolts, who were recently revealed to be the masters of evil, leaving the public confused about the team's genuinely redemptive efforts. Rogers begins hosting a new segment called Thunder Watch, where she reports on the team and the public's reaction to their exploits. Sometime later, Rogers receives photo evidence showing Hawkeye now working alongside the Thunderbolts. She questions whether to run the story because of her past with the hero, but ends up reporting it on her next episode of Thunder Watch. When the Thunderbolts go out to dinner to blow off steam, Rogers and Hawkeye meet to discuss his role on the team. Rogers is surprised to see Hawkeye's face for the first time. The conversation is interrupted when a Hydra commando unit arrives, looking to murder the Thunderbolts. Moving to safety, Rogers records the battle with her camera. After the Hydra commandos are taken down, the still fugitive Thunderbolts begin to worry as local authorities arrive. The team have Rogers speak to the police on their behalf, allowing the Thunderbolts to successfully escape and putting Rogers on the scene to report the events that transpired. Gail Rogers' focus on the Thunderbolts is soon redirected when she reports on the funeral of Hallie Takahama, who unknown to the public was secretly the Thunderbolts member Jolt. Hours after the funeral, Rogers sits in the news van thinking about the young woman's murder. Despite the excitement of covering the Thunderbolts, she finds herself emotionally invested in this teen's murder. While looking over footage of the funeral, Rogers spots the unmasked Hawkeye in the crowd. Connecting the dots, she realizes that Hallie Takahama was Jolt. Just then, Rogers receives the coroner's report, raising even more questions. Later that evening, Rogers meets with a contact from the Roxxon Corporation, who passes along a file on the unusual weapon used to kill Jolt. Unbeknownst to Rogers, this puts her in the sights of the murderer. Sometime later, local authorities are called to an accident scene with a news van that was forced off the road and down a steep hill. Looking into the vehicle, the authorities locate the body of Gail Rogers. Gilberto Corazon was an investigative reporter and single father who first appeared in Amazing Fantasy No. 1 from 2004. Gilberto originally lived in Mexico City with his wife Sofia and young daughter Anya. When school children are murdered during a cartel shooting, Gilberto angers the criminals when he begins to investigate their operations. In retaliation, the cartel set fire to the Corazon home, with Gilberto's wife Sofia still inside the burning building. Fearing for his daughter Anya's life, he moves them to New York. Soon after arriving, Gilberto happened upon the Fantastic Four battling the Mole Man. He spots a moloid about to attack the Invisible Woman and stop the creature. This meeting would lead to one of the earliest interviews with the team, and the first to stress that the team was a family, not just a bunch of mutants, demons, or monsters. That came later. Ever since then, Gil became the team's unofficial reporter, who learned a lot about the Four's secrets, but never revealed them publicly. Never remarrying, Gil worked hard to raise his daughter Anya by himself. Unbeknownst to Gil, his now teenage daughter Anya had become the mystic spider-themed hero Arana, way before spider people were just everywhere. Gil is led to believe his daughter accepted an internship and forces a meeting with her supposed boss, Miguel, who was actually Anya's guardian and a mage for a centuries-old totem-worshipping spider cult. Fuck, I love comics. Sometime later, Gilberto follows up on a tip where he encounters Arana while she is fighting her mystic opposite. Gil is either too scared or too professional to run, and he continues recording evidence with his camera. He even has the sense to ask for a quote from the two strangers, before Arana throws him over his shoulder and takes him from the area. When Arana finally stops running, Gilberto is full of questions. Remaining silent so her father wouldn't recognize her voice, Anya destroys the memory card from her father's camera that included the evidence for his story. Gil's life takes a turn when the Superhuman Registration Act goes into effect. An impromptu birthday celebration for his daughter is cut short following the arrival of Miss Marvel to bring Anya in for registration. Gil initially believes he and his daughter have been kidnapped, but after meeting Miss Marvel and calming down, he is taken to a training room where he gets to watch his daughter in action. Miss Marvel explains to Gil how the SHRA affects Anya, but Gilberto concludes that his daughter will just stop using her powers. Ultimately, Anya convinces her father that she can't stop being herself. Gilberto finally accepts his daughter's choice, but warns Miss Marvel should anything happen to his daughter, the hero would have to deal with him. His fears end up becoming reality when Arana joins Miss Marvel in fighting the cyborg villain known as the Doomsday Man. The villain wounds Anya when he rips off her organic armor, leaving the young woman hospitalized in a coma. When Miss Marvel arrives to check on Anya, Gilberto sternly warns the hero to stay away from his daughter. Gilberto kept watch over his daughter as she recovers, but is upset when he finds her sneaking out to fight crime. After a heart-to-heart with his daughter, Gilberto is forced to accept that his daughter is growing up and can take care of herself. The end comes for Gilberto Corazon while he is doing what he does best, investigating. He had uncovered a group of high-ranking officials who were illegally selling weapons. While researching the story at a local college library, Gilberto crosses paths with the disguised Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, at the time also known as the Red Hulk. Ross was at the library investigating the death of a friend, and the two begin sharing information, filling in the gaps the other had. While both men are distracted by their work, an enemy agent poisons their drinks with a drug that would cause their hearts to literally explode. Before Gilberto begins to feel the poison's effects, he unknowingly calls his daughter for the last time. Gilberto hangs up as the poison triggers Ross's transformation into the Red Hulk. Suffering delusions from the poison, Red Hulk begins smashing the library. Gilberto, possibly channeling the rapid heart rate from the poison, returns to rescue a scared woman in the library, but is then caught underneath a pile of fallen debris. After hearing about the destruction at the college library, Anya arrives to find the Fantastic Four battling the Red Hulk. Searching through the damage, Anya finds the woman her father rescued, before discovering his body crushed underneath the rubble. After her father's funeral, Anya learns that the Fantastic Four have started a scholarship fund in Gilberto Corazon's name, and that Anya will be its very first recipient. Sarah Dewey was a journalist and boxing reporter who was dealing with a divorce from an abusive husband as well as the custody battle for her two sons, all while struggling to stay free from alcohol. First appearing in Kingpin No. 1 from 2017, Dewey's life changed after receiving an offer from a mysterious potential employer who turns out to be the supercriminal Wilson Fisk, better known as the Kingpin. Fisk reveals how he is a fan of Dewey's boxing editorials, and how he wants her to write his biography despite her being a journalist, not a writer. Dewey is initially resistant to the offer, for obvious reasons, but Fisk slowly lets her in on his life, allowing her to see his well-meaning, philanthropic nature, as well as his past as a street-hardened criminal. Soon after accepting the offer, Sarah receives a visit from Daredevil, who warns her that Fisk's book will get people killed. Part of Dewey's investigation into Fisk's criminal associates brought her face to face with another notorious crime boss known as Tombstone. Thinking quickly, Dewey turns the situation into an interview, convincing Tombstone to reveal secrets about his dealings with Fisk. Unfortunately, the recording of this interview gets leaked to the public, resulting in Tombstone attempting multiple hits on Dewey's life. Only the intervention of Fisk and his men saved the reporter from being murdered. As time goes by, Fisk slowly involves himself more into Dewey's life. With his information, Dewey was able to get much needed work to pay her bills. Using his expensive lawyer, Fisk arranges for Dewey to get custody of her children. Finally, Dewey's friend Orlando finds his mediocre boxing career turn a corner, and soon he is fighting for a championship title. Unfortunately for Orlando, Fisk orders him to throw the title fight. When Dewey confronts her employer about his machinations, Fisk makes it clear that Orlando will regret not doing what he's told. The stress of everything causes Dewey to fall back into her alcoholism, and she almost misses the title fight altogether. Stopping to see Orlando in his locker room, Dewey convinces her friend to do what Fisk wants. After being forced to sit next to Wilson Fisk as the title fight starts, Sarah watches Orlando hit the mat when he was supposed to, but when Orlando sees Sarah praying for him, the boxer gets back up, much to Fisk's great annoyance. After the fight is finished and Orlando is ultimately declared the loser, Sarah waits in her apartment for her friend to arrive, but he never does. Sarah would eventually finish Fisk's book that goes on to become a bestseller and contributes to helping him become the mayor of New York soon afterward. Months later, Sarah arrives home a drunken mess, where she finds old man Logan bleeding and waiting for her. Logan asks Sarah to help him with a computer drive that Fisk has been killing people in order to get back. Dewey is quick to refuse, describing how Fisk ruined her life, but feeling guilty about her role in helping Fisk become mayor, Sarah agrees to help Logan. It doesn't take long before the pair are attacked by Bullseye, who Fisk has tasked with retrieving the drive. While Logan distracts Bullseye with his face, Sarah brings the drive to a hacker that she knows. This only leads to the hacker's death when Bullseye finds her. Dewey tries to defend herself with her gun, but somehow misses every single shot, before she then takes a dinner plate to the shoulder, wounding her. Bullseye leaves Dewey alive only because Fisk ordered him to do so. Later, Dewey is in the hospital as Logan reveals that the drive was a dead end, and apologizes for involving her and putting her in danger. The end comes for Sarah Dewey some months later when she enters her apartment and discovers blood-red words written on her floor. As she follows the trail of words to her apartment's window, Bullseye throws a playing card through the window, ending her life. His justification being that she wrote negatively about him in Fisk's biography. So why did I want to make this video? This special was a tribute to the character Sarah Dewey. I really enjoyed the Kingpin series from 2017 because I became invested in her story. Sarah wasn't a perfect person, but tried to do her best, dealing with the problems any one of us could be dealing with. It was refreshing to read about a normal person, existing in the craziness that is the Marvel Universe. Then she gets killed off to give another book's hero reason to do stuff. That kind of shit leaves me pretty salty. If Ben Urich can survive every Marvel event ever, why couldn't Sarah Dewey survive to tell a few more stories? That got me thinking about reporters in the Marvel Universe and just how unimaginably dangerous their profession is. Just look at how many times the Daily Bugle has been attacked over the years. Between a host of superpowered crime bosses and their lackeys, corrupt corporations who build supervillains for fun, and superheroes who are often unreliable, it kind of stretches belief anyone would do that job at all. After researching, I found others brave enough to take on that career, who followed the call to uncover truths others would have hidden and gave up everything in the pursuit of their stories. They too were normal people with everyday concerns. Do they have what it takes to handle their new career? Were they past their prime with their best years behind them? How do you balance your career and being a single parent? What do you risk in order to do the job that you're meant to do? These characters, like real-life journalists, are not meant to be the story. They are there to tell the facts and hopefully survive to do it again. Because no reporter wants the last story with their name on it to be about the sudden, tragic end of their own life and the family that they left behind to remember them.